lots to celebrate in that regard. Don't forget to mute yourself unless you want to speak or have something to say. Then don't forget to unmute yourself and then mute yourself again. So I think everybody's got the drill on that, fortunately, I think. And thanks, Andrea, for acting as our host and greeter today. You did like an awesome job. Right. Right. So, so is Ron Patrick here? Ron, are you here for a pledge and prayer?
Yes, I am.
Great.
Yeah, please join me in the pledge. If do you have a flag or anything like that? Maybe we can just get a flag in our mind to just know what it looks like.
No, give her a chance. She's doing it.
Here we go. There we go. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you'll now bow your heads. Eternal Father of us all, we come together in this hour as a grateful people, grateful for the life that you have given to each one of us, grateful for this free land in which we live, and for the faith of our fathers whose vision is both our heritage and our hope. Grateful for the high aspiration of world brotherhood, which is our challenge in work, worship, and this fellowship. Grateful that we might, as Rotarians, employ all that we are in service to our fellow man. For all these, we offer to you our thanks, and we share these moments at our table as your people. Amen.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron. Hey, Christy, you have a family of Rotary for us, perhaps?
I do, and it's a bit extensive to catch us up from December. So
we have the time.
So Jacob Rush and John Cumbo have birthdays on December 15th. Carlos Williams had a birthday on December 17th. Andy Simonson had a birthday on December 20th. And Stephen Jones had a birthday on December 29th. For this week, Dick Morales is celebrating, his past president, Dick Morales, is celebrating his birthday tomorrow on January 6th. Martha Barrett is celebrating a birthday on January 8th. Larry Cavallero is celebrating his birthday on January 9th. And past president Vicki Lynn Gloger is celebrating her birthday on January 10th. So then for wedding anniversaries, George Armstrong and his wife Kay celebrated 59 years on December 17th. Vic Zambetti and his wife Pam celebrated 36 years on December 19th. William Harrell and his wife Barbara celebrated 55 years on December 28th. Hal Kelly and his wife Rita celebrated their anniversary on December 30th. Ken Flotman and his wife Lisa celebrated 21 years on January 2nd. And Marilyn Curry and his wife Molly celebrated 17 years on January 3rd. And then for member anniversaries, Marie O'Keefe celebrated 5 years on December 15th. Past President Bill Langley will celebrate 8 years on January 8th, and Ron Patrick will celebrate 9 years on January 10th. And that catches us up.
Thank you. That's a big catch up. That's a lot going on, you know?
Yes.
Thankfully, we've got that much going on. Julia, hey, can you give us and talk to us about that Rotaract fundraiser?
Sure. So our Rotaract Club got creative with COVID, as most of us have, and they have kind of transitioned their Black Tie Blue Jean Gala into a virtual 5K. So our club is going to be the title sponsor for the event. I think we get 10 entries, so we definitely want to fill those 10 entries. And then if we have any additional folks, would love to have people support this awesome event. You run a 5K at your own pace, in your own spot, on a treadmill around your house. Pick one. It really doesn't matter. And just do it and send us a picture, send us a video, something fun to kind of get everybody engaged and on board. And we'll have kind of more info coming out of how we're going to get creative, because I have some fun ideas. So that is happening this month, the 5K. Yeah.
So there's going to need to be some photographic documentation for this, you know, and it has to be someone other than you taking a picture of yourself. And we want you to fund or forward all of that to Julia, because she's going to put it all together. so that we can make sure that it really happened. And we're all going to do this, you know, my gosh, you can walk a 5K. So yeah, I don't want to have to like get some sort of like Rotaract 5K police going to make sure everybody can participate. I'm expecting everyone to do it. I know you can do it. I have a great amount of confidence in everyone, and you know, and we all need to be able to do everything that, you know, past President Jason does every day. So it shouldn't be a problem, right? Right. Okay.
And we might have a prize for creativity for our club, so just keep that in mind.
No.
Yeah. For Barry.
That means past President Mike and past President Barry are going to have hats on. That's what that means. Great. That's great. No, that's good. That's good. So, I do want to say that barring any unforeseen rise in cases, etc., we do plan to be back in person next week, January 12th, for our regular lunch meeting. Our speaker will be David Abramowitz from the Veterans Treatment Center. All of these dates and events are on your DAC-DB calendar. It's important that you RSVP. Don't forget to RSVP because we all know how to do that now. So, so don't forget to look and to let Patty know what's happening so that we can plan everything as we need to. And hey, Patty, did Lisa Marie join us yet? Is she here?
Haven't seen her yet.
I'm sure I would have heard something by now. So there is, we're having an Iceman event this Saturday. So if anyone is interested in going, we went last year, it was a lot of fun. We need to be sure and RSVP for that because that we're on the cusp of it. So we need to be able to let them know if we're in or we're out. And I mean, that's something that Lisa Marie has been planning for us as well. It was a lot of fun last year, blood on the ice, all of that cool stuff. So, yeah, so let us know if you're interested in attending that so that we can do everything we need to do to make that a fun event. And hey, Steve Madden, why don't you give us an oratory update, please?
Thanks, President Tom, and hello, everybody. Our oratory is coming along. It is a challenge, as you can imagine, collecting students and communicating and all the troubles we've all had in 2020, but our team has worked so very hard and has done a fantastic job. Our first regional is coming up. It's always at the Westjax Club on January 20th, and our finals are March 4th at the WJCT Studios. There's more info to come on that as we'll have reduced seating to comply with CDC guidelines and what have you. But that's the update, and I'll be sending out a personal invite to each of you to see if there's opportunity to support this event through our 250 Dinner Club. As you know, there's overhead involved in running this event, and we're looking for support. So thanks, everybody, and we'll keep the updates coming.
Thanks, Steve. I'm sure you'll get a club full of support. And are there any areas where you need help that you're lacking so that we've got everybody here, we can call upon someone to help you out, even more than the help you're already receiving? You can be thinking about that for your letter as well.
Thank you. I will do. Nothing comes to mind. The team's doing a great job. Just pray for them as the challenges have been steep, as you can imagine, dealing with COVID and the breaks. And it's just made things come out a little bit late in the day, but it's coming together.
It's always been such a big success. We certainly still want to hold it this year. We know that it's going to be a little bit challenging to make it happen, but we certainly don't want to, not have it. So we'll need everyone's support, and I'm sure that I'll be happy with how much support we'll get. Right. So, so do we have any visitors and guests that I might have missed? I'm like scrolling through. I think that everybody that's here, other than our speaker, is one of our members. It looks like it is.
No unidentified people.
No unidentified people? Hey, Patty, want to play that welcome song?
Okay.
Alex needs to hear it.
It's my favorite. We didn't do it at my Rotary Club.
That's the reason for a live meeting, right? Okay. Past President Jason, would you like to introduce our speaker today?
I would love to. It is with enormous pleasure and pride that I get to introduce our speaker today. Alex Hill, the Chief Operating Officer of Maple Street Biscuits. She and I go a long way back. I was very fortunate that my law firm entrusted me with actually hiring people, and I got to interview Alex. And so I worked with Alex first as a summer intern, a summer law clerk with our firm. Later, she was an associate, then senior associate. She was of counsel, and she was on the cusp of becoming a partner with the firm when the opportunity with Maple Street came up for her. And when she told me about that opportunity, I'll never forget my exact words were, "If you don't take it, I will." Is that an option? But Alex is just a fantastic lawyer, and she's a fantastic friend. I can't say enough things about her, just how much I admire her as a person, as a wife, and as a mother. I mean, she's just all around great person. But I will share two stories, because I'm afraid she'll share the first one before I do to get the story out there. I remember interviewing Alex, and I just remember this very, very bright, very polished, very corporate person. And she had finished one semester of law school, or two, she was in her second year. And I was just so impressed, and knew that she needed an offer from our firm, and wanted to work with her, and I wanted to work with the other attorneys in our office. Now, when she tells the story, she remembers me sitting in my office with a Pomeranian in my chair, petting it. And she does a very terrible impression of me, by the way, that she's trying to do right now. But so that was fun. That's how it started. And we worked closely together on lots of matters. And one of my favorite memories is that we were in a trial, a bench trial. There wasn't a jury, and Alex had a witness that she was responsible for, and a hostile witness. And the witness starts going, saying things that the witness shouldn't. And so I kind of nudge Alex, and I'm like, object. And Alex looks at me, she just sits there. And the witness keeps going. I kick Alex on the table. I'm like, object. You need to object here. And she looks at me, and I'm like, object, hearsay. So she jumps to her feet. She's like, objection, hearsay. And the judge is like, granted. Sits back down. At the end of the trial, or we go out to the hallway, and Alex is like, I've never done that before. And I had so much confidence in her. I had forgotten that she was so good that she hadn't had a dozen trials under her belt. So that was her first time objecting in court. And it was just so much fun to work with her. So with that, I will happily turn it over to Alex to tell us her story with Maple Street Biscuits, and how she went from being their lawyer to now the Chief Operating Officer, and led them through their merger with Cracker Barrel. So Alex, over to you.
Thank you, Jason. You're going to make me cry. Truly, working with Jason is probably one of the biggest privileges of my life. He taught me a lot. And I always tell young attorneys when they come in, find a mentor, but also find a cheerleader. And Jason's been both a mentor and a cheerleader for me. And so I really appreciate everything Jason's done. I'm excited that he asked me to come speak to your group today. If you looked at my bio, I was actually with the Rotary Club back in Orange Park. I did Rotary of Orange Park Sunrise until the acquisition happened with Cracker Barrel, and they actually moved us all to Nashville. So back in July, I moved from Fleming Island, and I'm now located here in the beautiful city of Nashville, Tennessee, where it's way colder than I think I ever anticipated it being. It was 19 degrees Christmas Day, and I don't know that I'd ever actually felt that temperature until Christmas Day, so it was a lot for me. Super sad, though, however, that I can't see you all actually in person today. We usually, whenever we get the opportunity to tell the story about Maple Street, we always like to bring treats. I did talk to Patty earlier. I'm going to be sending Patty a bunch of gift cards so that the next time y'all meet in person, y'all can have some gift cards and go try some Maple Street on us if you haven't tried it already. If you have tried it already, go get some more on us. Maybe bring a friend with you. I'm going to share my screen. I do have a little. It's the first time I've ever used Prezi. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Prezi, but I'm giving it a shot. Go. So when Jason asked me to speak today, he did ask me to talk a little bit about the acquisition with Cracker Barrel, but I really can't tell the story of the acquisition with Cracker Barrel unless I get to tell the Maple Street story, because we are so different than a typical restaurant. Just want to take a few moments and tell you all our story if you haven't heard it before, because we're more than just great biscuits. Maple Street was actually started back in 2012. November 2012 is when they opened their flagship in San Marco. It was started by two gentlemen, Scott Moore, who's still currently our CEO, got to meet him a little earlier, and Gus Evans. And the way it happened was Gus Evans was in construction and he actually lost his job. Of course, it's 2012, the economy's not doing great. And he and Scott were in the same church together in Orange Park. And Scott Moore, being a VP in HR at Winn-Dixie, was kind of assigned to parishioners who had lost their jobs to help them find work. And so Scott was mentoring Gus. And in that process, Winn-Dixie was bought out by Bilo, and Scott saw the writing on the wall and knew that he was going to need his next step in life. And so all of a sudden he's sitting down with Gus saying, you know what, I'm going to be sitting on the other side of the table soon because I think I'm going to lose my job as well. Gus says, well, what are you going to do? He said, you know what, I'm kind of at a point in my career where I just want to do whatever I want to do. And I always dreamt of opening up a restaurant built around fresh baked biscuits. Gus says, I think I want to do that with you. Scott said, okay, you have a young family. Why don't you go home, think about it, talk to your wife, come back. Thinking Gus was not at all going to do this with him. Gus came back 2 weeks later and said, I want to do this biscuit idea with you. And so you have a construction guy and an HR guy who came out of the grocery industry that start a restaurant together. No culinary background, no restaurant experience. And truth be told, Scott just in his mind said, I'm going to do this. I want to go ahead. I want to get Gus settled. I at least know how to run a business. Let me help get Gus settled so that he could take care of his family and be in his community with his family. And then I'm going to go ahead and go on to my next move. And then a second gentleman comes along from church and says, you know what, I need a next move in life. I'm also in the construction industry. I don't know what to do. And Scott says, you know what, I'm going to help you out too. We're going to open a second one in Jacksonville Beach. And so Maple Street was built on this whole mission of helping people, serving others, and being a part of the community. There's the whole basis of it. And getting the opportunity to sell fresh baked biscuits and feeding people was just the vehicle that allows us to continue to live out that mission. And even now at 42 stores, even now owned by Cracker Barrel and a publicly traded company, we get to continue to live out that mission. Everything we do rises and falls on that mission of helping people, serving others, and being a part of the community. There's a quote here from Scott. It's in a lot of our stores. You know, truth be told, restaurants fail at a high rate. Restaurants that started during the recession fail at an even higher rate. And restaurants that are started by two guys that don't have any restaurant experience fail at an even higher rate. And here we are, owned by Cracker Barrel, 42 stores later, getting ready to open number 43 at the end of the month. All because we just continue to live out that mission of helping people, serving others, and being a part of the community. So fast forward 7 years later, at this point, I am sitting in the general counsel seat for Cracker Barrel. I started February 14th. It was Valentine's Day of 2017. And Jason will never let me live that day down. He calls me every January 14th or February 14th to remind me that I broke his heart that day. But I'm sitting in the general counsel seat. And at this point, we're at almost 30 stores. And we had gone from when I started in February of 2017 with 9 stores all the way to 25 stores in a very short period of time. It was 18 months that we grew the company that big. And we realized at this point that we had a lot more communities that we wanted to serve, a lot more people we wanted to help. And in order for us to do that, we were really going to need a strategic partner. We had kind of hit the point where if we wanted to grow at the rate we wanted to grow, we were going to need some help. We were actually going to need some people with some restaurant experience and, quite frankly, some people with some capital. And so we actually went to market on this. We actually hired an investment banker, and we started looking at some options of what kind of strategic partner could we get. Years prior, when I was actually still at Gray Robinson, Cracker Barrel had reached out to Maple Street and wanted to purchase Maple Street at that time. We only had 5 stores when they came to us originally. And I will never forget standing in my office at Gray Robinson, talking to Scott about it and saying, if we do this now, if you sell to Cracker Barrel now, are you going to lose the heart and that mission of Maple Street? And he said, you know what, I think I am. And so we backed out right before signing the letter of intent of selling to Cracker Barrel round 1. So as we're looking for this strategic partner, Scott gets a crazy idea that maybe Cracker Barrel might still be interested in us. At this point, Cracker Barrel has their own biscuit, fast casual biscuit concept called Holler and Dash, very similar to what we do here at Maple Street. And Scott picks up the phone and calls Sandy Cochran, the CEO of Cracker Barrel. And we get a call back from the CFO of Cracker Barrel, and they said, you know what? We actually might be interested in talking again this time around. So we started engaging in the conversations with them. It was a long process, a long courting process, because for us, it truly was about finding that right partner. We knew we needed one, but we also knew we wanted one that was going to continue to help us on that mission of helping people, serving others, and being a part of the community. Because the worst thing we could have done was sold to a big company or brought in private equity money, and that mission completely deteriorate and the heart at which we started just completely go away. So after 7 months of courting with Cracker Barrel, they courting us, we getting to know them, making sure that they would be okay with what we do and living out our mission, they were going to take that away from us. Finally, in October of 2019, we finalized the deal with Cracker Barrel. And I can tell you it has been one of the best decisions we have made as a company. What we have found in Cracker Barrel truly is a vehicle to help us grow and serve more communities. The beauty of it is we have a tremendous amount of autonomy with Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel's offices are actually in Lebanon, Tennessee. It's about 45 minutes from where I sit right now in the heart of Nashville. So we have 2 completely separate offices. We have a completely separate team. Scott Moore stayed on as CEO. Obviously, they moved me up to the COO position. We are bringing back on our former CPO. We just announced that yesterday. So she's going to be moving up to Nashville with us as well. And then we've been able here to establish our own team to help us go live out this mission and open more stores. Scott meets with Sandy every other week. They actually met this morning in one of our locations that's right below our office. And time after time, Sandy Cochran, the CEO of Cracker Barrel, just says, you know what? Don't let us break you. Just go what you do. Go keep living your mission. Go keep helping people and serving your communities. And with that, though, they did bring a little bit of support and structure. Like I said, we're not restaurant people. I certainly didn't come from the restaurant world. Running restaurants is a lot different than practicing bankruptcy with Jason Burnett. But you know, we now have this opportunity to tap into some of those resources that Cracker Barrel has, tap into some of their culinary resources that we've never had to really grow this brand. And as Patty said earlier when we were testing the presentations, she said, you guys are going to go do what Firehouse did. And I hope so. I hope we do get to go do what Firehouse did and take over and go nationwide with this. At least in the short term, we're looking at taking over and being the best biscuit company in the Southeast. Wouldn't be a good presentation, I don't think, if I didn't get a chance to talk to y'all about what we did during COVID. This is an interesting time for everybody. It was a really interesting time for restaurants. As you know, we went through a lot of changes from, you know, having to make sure that we were keeping our guests safe while they came in the store, understanding guest concerns as they came in the store, to a very sudden shutdown of our dining rooms and how do we survive that, to then opening it up in stages. And we're in 7 different states. And so watching it occur in 7 different states has been absolutely fascinating. But at Maple Street, again, everything we do just rises and falls on that mission of help people, serve others, and be a part of the community. And when COVID really started to hit big in March, and we started seeing more guest concerns, and we started hearing that some of the other states were starting to shut down dining rooms. The one question we asked ourselves was, how do we keep living out our mission? How can we keep helping people? How can we keep serving those communities? And one of the things that came out of it was this Maple Street Pantry. And I will never forget the day. It was right after Florida shut down. So Florida, of all of our states, was the last one to shut down their dining rooms. And it was that moment for us where we thought, most of our stores are in Florida. How do we survive this? You know, how do we keep afloat? How do we keep our people paid? You know, for me, we have 600 employees. You know, we have 50-something salaried employees. How do we make sure that they can still take care of their families? And Scott Moore called me and said, what's the one thing people really need right now? I said, I don't know, Scott, hope. Like, I have no idea. He's like, toilet paper. Everybody's out of toilet paper. We should sell toilet paper. I said, that's how? How are we going to sell toilet paper? We're a restaurant. And so he called Cisco, and sure enough, we started selling toilet paper. See a picture. This is Patty. This is Fleming Island, by the way, the store by you. This is Chad Kraft, our community leader at Fleming, with all of his toilet paper that he's selling. And all we did, I mean, it wasn't, you know, we weren't selling it at an astronomical price. It was for 75 cents a roll. We just had this access to a different distribution channel than the average person doesn't have, that the grocery stores didn't have. So we were bringing it in through our food purveyor and our paper supplier and selling it as close to cost as we could while still making enough money to at least pay our employees. That's all we cared about, right? We were gonna figure out a way to keep the lights on, and we were working with landlords to figure out how to abate rent. But I couldn't tell our teams, I'm not gonna pay you right now. And so we sold toilet paper, and for 3 straight weeks, toilet paper was our #1 selling item. We're a biscuit company, and toilet paper was our #1 selling item for 3 straight weeks. And then out of that evolved even more products. So we would go to grocery stores and we'd realize they're out of produce, they're out of canned goods, they're out of meat in a lot of stores. And again, we had this access to this distribution channel that other people did not have. So we went and we stocked our stores. And we sold everything as close to cost as we could, just so we could continue to pay our people. And we had these community pantries, and the stores got really creative, and they were putting together baskets. So you could go to Maple Street and you could get basically a Hello Fresh meal from Maple Street, of either the stuff that we typically sell and the stuff that we brought in for this pantry. And then we took it another step further, and we said, you know, how can our guests help us live out our mission of helping people, serving others, being part of the community? And so we created these Biscuits for Hero boxes. And as a guest, you could go and you could actually purchase and say, I want to purchase, you know, 5 Biscuit for Heroes boxes. And we would packet it all up, and we would hand deliver it to wherever you wanted us to deliver it to, be it a hospital or a nursing home or a fire station or a police station. And through that program, we actually were able to serve over 9,000 heroes during the height of the shutdown of COVID. And then we took it a step further, and we did something. If toilet paper wasn't out of the world for us, dinner was really out of the realm for us. And we said, you know, we're going to serve Easter dinner to people. And I had the stores making mashed potatoes and string beans and deviled eggs to create Easter baskets to give to guests, because the stores were still out of product. Or we had a lot of guests that just, they were so uncomfortable going into the grocery store. And so at Fleming Island specifically, there was a line of cars that day of Easter basket pickups where they could just drive up and they would just shout through the window, I'm here to pick up an Easter basket for Alex Hill. And our people masked up would take it out and put it in their trunk, so there was no contact. So our guests felt safe, but they were still able to get the products that they needed. All of this built out of just this desire, because we wanted to keep our people employed and we wanted to keep our communities fed. We're very lucky. We did not have to shut down a single store during COVID, the height of the shutdown. We cut hours, but we didn't have to do a mass layoff here at Maple Street. And it was our communities that helped us do that by coming in and quite frankly, buying toilet paper from us, is how we were able to stay alive and continue to serve our communities. So that's our Maple Street story, from how we got started from 2 guys without any restaurant experience to a $36 million buyout by Cracker Barrel years later, to how we were just able to continue to live out our mission during what has truly been a tumultuous time for our communities and restaurants. So, and open it up for questions. Are there any in the chat? Oh, look at that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and I can answer some of the questions in the chat. So Maple Street itself is not publicly traded. Our holding company, Agincourt Industries LLC, for those of you that want a history lesson, Agincourt was a battle in France, King Henry V. We celebrate St. Crispin's Day every year as a company. If you want to look that up on the internet, it's a fun little trivia question. But Agincourt Industries, our holding company, was purchased by Cracker Barrel. So we still run under Agincourt Industries. We're wholly owned by Cracker Barrel, and then Cracker Barrel is the publicly traded company. Do you worry about MSC cannibalizing Cracker Barrel sales? So we don't. We're very different. And that was part of why Cracker Barrel was interested in us and why they started their own similar concept, Holler and Dash, was Cracker Barrel knew that they serve a certain demographic, right? It tends to be a little older, or people whose parents and grandparents took them to Cracker Barrel, and that's kind of that nostalgic feel. Whereas we truly do serve kind of more that foodie younger generation. A lot of millennials, a lot of young families come to us. And so we have not seen any cannibalization. We also are in very different locations, whereas Cracker Barrel, you're typically going to see them more off on the highways. We are truly that in the community, being that community store.
Alex, could I ask you to take yourself off screen sharing so we can see everybody?
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe we'll be able to pick up some more questions.
Stop sharing. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. Yeah.
Alex,
okay, everybody. You can pipe up now.
Alex, this is Jason. Is it too late for me to get a free Biscuits for Life card based on our prior work relationship?
Yes, but I can get you free coffee for the next year.
I'll take it. Everybody heard that, right?
We heard it.
Jason, you're like me. You need to eat more biscuits.
Alex.
So, Alex, I was going to ask you about that other, Jacksonville company, the Firehouse Parallel. And so, if you're thinking that that's something that you guys might be working toward, what do you feel that you're lacking, or what direction do you need to head to be like Firehouse successful coast to coast?
Sure. So the models are a little different. We are actually not franchised. So Firehouse is franchised, and you need a different infrastructure at the corporate level to help support that. Whereas we are mostly company owned. I have 5 franchise locations, but we will continue to go company owned as we grow. And that requires a lot of infrastructure. So we have built the team here in Nashville. We actually just this week alone have hired 5 new people to help support the operations. But that's really what I see going forward. And it's hard because, chicken before the egg here. Do I invest the money now in the infrastructure? Do I wait and kind of invest it as we grow? So that's really for me what it is. And then, site selection is difficult, and it will continue to be making sure that we find the right site. And we're not opening at the height of the real estate, that we're waiting, getting the right site, right deal for our store economics.
Great, thanks. Hey, so Gary, that ties right into your question, which is what, Gary?
So Gary asked what considerations go into
Right.
these locations. We look at demographics, and we also look at the community, right? One of the things we learned during COVID was that our community-based stores did really well. These are the stores where the community really rallied around them. And it was funny because you'd see us on like, eat local. And we're like, but we're not local. But all of these like people would be like, let's eat local. Let's eat at our local Maple Street. But it was cool because, it created that community feel that we want so badly. So we do look for that, that community, and then we're looking for a certain population density and, quite frankly, a certain income level. I mean, at the end of the day, I do sell a $9 biscuit. So, you got to make sure that, we're in the right communities that are going to want to come out and spend $9 on a biscuit. And then we are very careful to make sure to, talk about cannibalization, that we are not in too close to other Maple Streets. Jacksonville area happens to just be one of those big clusters because we were trying to own the Jacksonville area. That was intentional. You typically will not see us in those big of a clusters. So we make sure we don't cannibalize ourselves. Jason asked, how many stores will Maple Street open in 2021 and 2022? So what we've announced to the street is we're looking at 15 for fiscal year 2021, and probably the same for fiscal year 2022.
Jay Plotkin has a question just before Jason's.
Sure. Oh, do you have any tips for convincing spouses that eating your business is actually good for your health? I will say this. Yes, it's a lot of carbs, but all of our food is fresh made. So that's one thing we do pride ourselves on. There's no preservatives in our food. The sausage gravy that you get, I mean, when I talk about fresh made, I have, 18-year-old kids back there making the sausage, hand making the roux, going through that whole process. Our apple butter is hand cored Gala apples that we cook down. We add all the spices. Our blackberry, blueberry jam, same thing. There's no preservatives in our food. It is all truly fresh made every week. So while it's not calorie friendly, it's also not terrible for you.
There you go, Jay. You can sell it now.
I'm sure this is a You Can Serve, but my son is hoping that San Marco brings back the question of the day versus the question of the month now. One of his favorite things about visiting. Yes. I will convince them to change up the question every day. It's a lot of work for the stores, a lot of creativity going into it. But the question of the month is probably one of our favorite things. And to Judge Clear, that was such a good question because I get a chance to really explain that question of the month. For those of you who've never been to a Maple Street, it's a fast casual, so you go up and you order at the counter, but we don't explain things by, we don't call out your food by a name or a number, because to us, you're a community, right? You're more than a name, you're more than a number. What we do is we ask you a question of the month, and that gives us the opportunity to get to know our communities better. So if you go in every month, we're gonna ask you, what's your favorite car? Where's your favorite vacation spot? What was your favorite Christmas present this year? And that's us getting to know you better. Probably one of the coolest things about being at a Maple Street, and I love just going sometimes and just working out of one of our stores, is to listen to the answer to those questions. There was a question one time at a store I was working out of, and it was, what's on your bucket list? And you get answers like, oh, I want to go skydiving. I want to go diving with the sharks. I want to go mountain climbing. One lady said, to send my kids to college. And I thought, oh, what's it going to take? What do we got to do? What financial planner do I need to hook you up with to make sure that we can send your kids to college? Which is, it's a cool experience for the guests too, to sit and listen. Are wage increases and minimum wage $15 difficult? Yes. So it's going to be a challenge for us. Restaurants run on slim margins. Our food costs are increasing all the time as commodity prices increase. We are working a plan on how to deal specifically with the Florida $15 minimum wage. Fortunately, it does kind of gradually increase. I think if it were to be a $15 minimum wage that hit on January 1st, we would have been in a much worse situation. And that goes to, we hire a lot of young kids and we want to be their first job. It's something we enjoy doing, is being somebody's first job and getting to develop them and watching them grow, go off to college, become leaders themselves. But it's going to be a challenge, as I think it will for the entire restaurant industry. How challenging is it to transition from a lawyer to CEO or CEO? And what was the biggest challenge? Should Jason try it? Jason would be fantastic at this job. It was, and I say it this way. So as lawyers, we are the doers, right? Like, we need to be the doers. That's how we make our money, right? I am the one, even Jason as a partner, he's still drafting motions, he's still doing the depositions. He gave me a lot of that work, but he's still doing a lot of it himself, because you got to have something to put on your time card at the end of the day. At this level, you're not the doer anymore. And that was something really challenging for me to get over. I'm leading the team now, right? I need to constantly be thinking at the 50,000 foot level and then talking to my team and saying, okay, now you guys go do and make this vision happen and come to me when you have questions. And that was, I will never forget so I've been in this role for a year now, and Scott having to sit down with me, and he handed me a book. It's called Managing Management Time. If you haven't read it, it's fantastic. It was actually written by a guy who's a physicist, but it's about management and leadership. So it's just a really interesting take on leadership in the workplace. But he handed me this book. He's like, you need to read this book. Go read this book, and then let's come back and talk about it. Because I was getting too caught up in the weeds, and that was preventing the bigger picture. So for me, that's probably been the biggest challenge. But I will say, being a lawyer truly helped me be the COO during a time of such crisis. I actually told Jason this the other day. I actually loved the challenges that were before us during COVID and trying to figure out new ways to serve our community. And that's something that lawyers do. I mean, we're trained to deal with crisis. You come to us with your crisis, and we're trained to figure out how to fix it and deal with that stress. You always meet with a client and just say, all right, give me your stress. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to take your stress and figure out the solution for you. And so that part of it really helped me, I think, during COVID, where I treated all of my stores like my clients, and making sure that I was the calming presence, taking their stress away from them. I can't help you there.
Yeah, Steve, you're taking him too seriously. The only reasonable explanation. Okay, anybody else have any other questions for Alex? Are you waving your hand, Barry? Unmute yourself.
I am. And the reason is I didn't know how to type this out. So several years ago, one of our speakers at one of our luncheons was, I can't remember his name, but he's the fellow who was, I guess he was chief operating officer for Firehouse Subs. I guess he's right under the Sorensen brothers. But a question came up about salaries, wage rates at Firehouse, and something about, I guess perhaps some negatives about the fact that people weren't being paid a whole lot. And if I remember his answer, I thought it was kind of interesting. He said, I don't want to really see people at our shops that are long-time employees. We really view what we do there as a lot of entry-level jobs, things that give the opportunity, especially for young people, to have that first job or maybe a second job. How would you view that? How do y'all look at that whole thing?
Sure. And I look at it kind of both ways, right? So like I said, I love having young people come work for us. In fact, we just hired a director of training, and one of the tasks that I've given her is to develop what I call the Maple Street Junior Leadership Academy, because we have these amazing high school students that come in, and I would love to give them an opportunity to really have something strong to put on their resume. And so in that regard, I want to be the place where the high school student can come to us, that they can have their first job, and on top of that, I can give them a little extra leadership development training. We pride ourselves on being a very safe place to work. We are not a typical restaurant. There's no screaming in our stores. There's no cussing. If I walk into a store and someone's cussing, then I'll walk you out the door. There's no cussing at our teams. We just really pride ourselves on being that safe place to work so that you can send your 16-year-old, 17-year-old, even 14, 15-year-old kid into our store and feel good about the workplace that they're at and feel good that we're going to give them an experience beyond just making a biscuit sandwich. And so in that vein, yeah, you know what, it's minimum wage. We abide by the Florida minimum wage, but we also have a lot of upward mobility, especially with the growth that we're doing. And so with that, we have a lot of leadership opportunities within the store. And as you move up and you get to those leadership positions in the store, then that pay really starts to increase, and you see more opportunities and more bonus opportunities based on the store performance and how it's doing. And once we get to that level, I love seeing those high school students. They come to us, they go off to college, they do great things, but there's people that want to be in the restaurant industry and they want it. That's what they want to do. They want to grow within the restaurant industry. And I also want to be that vehicle to help them grow within the restaurant industry. So again, we have a whole community leader and training program that we have, where we have at all times 5 rotating community leaders in training as they get the opportunity to go to different stores. We have monthly leadership courses that we do here in Nashville for a whole week, where we get to pick some of our rising stars and they get to come here and they get to go through a whole crash course for a week with us, learning all the aspects of growing and developing the business.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for Alex today? Thank you, Alex, for taking time for all of those questions. Some of them were pretty good.
Yeah, no, thank you. I enjoyed it.
I know everyone enjoyed that. As a thank you, we will be making a donation in your honor to the Rotary Foundation to End Polio. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, Past President Robert, did you have a guest that I missed earlier by any chance? You still here? Robert check out on us? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm getting misinformation from Patty. All right, in the meantime, I want to remind everyone that next week, January 12th, we'll be at the in-person location, the Fellowship Hall, Southside Baptist Church. David Abramowitz will be our guest speaker. Mark your calendars, RSVP if you plan to attend. And I want to remind everyone again of the Rotaract 5K support and about the Iceman game this Saturday. So please respond to that if you would like to attend. And I think that wraps us up for today. So as we end this meeting, please join me in the Rotary motto: service above self, one profits most, who serves best. Man.